Visa makes over $20 billion a year in profit, but here is the catch. They do not lend you a single dime. They do not hold your cash, they do not charge you interest, and they do not carry the risk if you default. So how much money does Visa actually make every time you pay? The answer is not what you think, and the way they hide their cut in plain sight is a masterclass in financial engineering. To understand the toll, you have to understand the road. Back in 1958, a banker named Dee Hock made a massive gamble. He realized that individual bank cards were a logistical nightmare. Merchants needed a different machine for every single bank. So he pitched a crazy idea. What if all the banks stopped competing over the network and instead shared one universal highway? The banks would take all the risk, lend all the money, and fight over the customers. This new company would simply build the toll road. The banks paved the asphalt and Visa put up the toll booths. Almost overnight, millions of people were driving on their road, and Visa never had to issue a single card themselves. Today, when you tap your phone to buy a coffee, you trigger an invisible ballet between 4 different financial giants. It happens in milliseconds. But a massive fee is being dissected behind that green check mark. Let's say you own a local coffee shop. A customer buys a $5 latte with their Visa card. You hear the beep, but you do not get $5. You get about $4.85. That missing 15 cents is the merchant discount fee. As a business owner, those fees are agonizing. They eat directly into your margins. You might even try to fight back by offering a cash discount. But Visa has you trapped, and the reason is pure psychology. Behavioral economists call it the pain of paying. When a customer hands over a $5 bill, their brain registers a microdose of physical loss. They feel the wallet get lighter. But when they tap a piece of plastic, that pain vanishes. People spend up to 18% more when they use a card compared to cash. If you stop accepting Visa, you do not just lose the convenience. You lose nearly a fifth of your potential sales. Merchants are held hostage by the very psychology that makes cards so addictive. What is the most frustrating card fee you have ever been hit with as a customer or a business owner? Drop it in the comments because the system is entirely rigged to squeeze from both ends. But where does that squeeze actually go? On that $5 latte, the merchant lost 15 cents. The bank that issued the card takes the biggest chunk because they took the risk of lending the money. The merchant's bank takes a smaller cut for processing the sale. So what is left for the network? How much does Visa make on that swipe? Their revenue comes down to just 2 buckets. A tiny percentage of the total transaction volume and a flat fixed fee per swipe. Because it is a blended average across millions of different transactions, card types, and merchant categories, the exact number fluctuates, but on that $5 latte, Visa's actual take is roughly 1 to 2 cents. On a $100 grocery run, it might be 15 cents. Visa walks away with pennies. How do pennies turn into $20 billion of revenue? Scale and absolute zero risk. Remember, if that coffee shop goes bankrupt tomorrow, Visa still kept their 2 cents. If the customer never pays their credit card bill, the issuing bank eats the entire loss. Not Visa. They simply route the data from point A to point B, collect their toll, and move on to the next transaction. They process over 250 million of these every single day. The flywheel never stops. They make the checkout frictionless so you spend more, which forces merchants to accept the cards, which drives up the volume, which makes those pennies multiply into fortunes. Every time you hear that beep at the checkout counter, you are feeding a machine that has perfected the art of taking a microscopic slice of an infinitely growing pie. Visa doesn't need to be a bank. They just need to be the only road in town.